Welcome back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Last time, the Grail Mercenaries and the Laguz Alliance made their way through the Kalku Caves and defeated a meme boss, and didn't burn to death, but unfortunately, because Screamer is an idiot, we ended up in Goldoa instead of Gallia. Thankfully, we had friends there, so we were able to leave without incidents. And now it's time for something completely different.
Goldoa, the land of dragons, lies secluded in the southwestern corner of Tellius. No foreigner, Laguz or Bjork, is permitted within its borders. The Alliance emerges from the lava tubes and into Goldoa by accident. The Dragon King, Deginsia, is displeased by this trespass. However, Ike's former companions Nasir and Ina appeal to Deginsia to allow the passage of the Laguz Alliance. Raisin's actions during the last war earn them the grudging respect of King Deginsia, who allows them safe passage. Meanwhile, Benyan calls off its pursuit of the Alliance and finds its passage into Gallia blocked by the nation's great mountains and deep forests. The Central Army's momentum breaks upon these obstacles like an ocean wave against solid rock. Senator Valtome arrives to take command of the Central Army. He orders Zelgius to march on to Gallia by way of Crimea. Observing diplomatic protocol, Valtome petitions the Queen for passage, as well as supplies and additional troops. Queen Alincia, however, goes against the wishes of the Crimean nobles and resolutely denies each of Valtome's requests. Her reply enrages Valtome, who sees Crimea as little more than a vassal of the Empire. Ignoring Zelgius's counsel, Valtome orders his army to enter Crimea and take whatever they need from the villages along the way.
Congratulations, Valtome, you just made another enemy in this war. So yes, it's finally time for the Crimean army to enter the scene. Like I said, this war is just getting more and more complicated. But it's always good seeing Alincia again. She is probably my favourite of this game's main characters in terms of overall development. So, yeah, I guess we've got bandits again for the second time this... well, third if you count the Laguz bandits in, part 1. And here's short-haired Lucia. She's actually not going to be playable in this chapter, but I can at least explain one thing. There's something odd about Lucia's battle models only in the English version. So, her third-tier model always has the short hair, because in the Japanese version, you didn't have access to Master Crowns in Part 2, so it was only possible to promote her to third tier after she had her haircut. In the English version, though, it's technically possible with a bit of dodge grinding against enemies in 2-2, to third-tier Lucia then, and then she'll spontaneously get short hair, because she has no long-haired third-tier model. Not only that, but Gallia is a major ally of Crimea. I feel like if Benyan did declare war on us, Gallia would probably back us up. Interesting that this guy actually has a name, even though he only appears in this one scene and is never mentioned again. And I keep reading his name as Lord Sauron, but obviously no. We already know that some very bad things have been going on, and it's heavily implied the Apostle has been kidnapped. But for now, it's time to go back to the affairs of the Crimean Royal Knights. Before I do anything else, I'm going to check out the info conversations. We actually have quite a few of these. Two that give us items, two that don't. I actually really like the villagers conversation here. This one's not really needed for anything, but it gives you it gives you the peasant's perspective on this whole situation. That's a good point, except these guys aren't following the Apostles' orders. In fact, they've pretty much ousted her directly. So there's still a bit of prejudice going on in Crimea. But things seem to be getting a lot better. I like how they're name-dropping Mordecai here. He probably did a lot of work helping with the reconstruction. So it is interesting to get the multiple perspectives of the citizens on the whole issues of the war. One thing that I like about that scene too, the background there I think is the same one that was used for Port Toha back in Path of Radiance, which if you remember from that game, was populated entirely by racist assholes. So that may imply that the situation is really improving in Crimea in terms of race relations, if that really is Toha. And back to this guy again. I feel like me time with Makalov involves him losing all of his money. And thankfully, we get some more great Marsha moments here. I wish Marsha got to do more in this game. She always has amazing dialogue, especially at the very end of this conversation. Though this conversation does contain a bit of a plot hole that, unlike the one in the Three Brothers conversation, which did get fixed in the European version, this one didn't. That's also a great Marsha moment. Oh no, not again. And here's more of Astrid just being... It is actually really weird, Astrid's character in this game, though I might talk about that after this conversation is over. So, this line right here, this is actually totally wrong. Astrid does have siblings. She mentioned having siblings in support conversations in Path of Radiance. But I guess, I don't know, the localizers must have forgotten about that because they're fairly obscure supports. I forget exactly which support that she does mention that, but yeah, also this line's amazing. I remember when I replayed this game recently, I laughed out loud when I saw that, because I'd forgotten about that line. That line is great. But yeah, Astrid does in fact have siblings, so that was kind of a mess up there, in terms of... So, this is the first Master Crown you're supposed to have for the Part 2 party. In other words, you weren't supposed to have a chance to third tier any of them until now. That's why Lucia's battle model, Lucia does not have a long-haired battle model for third tier. Now, the Master Crown is obviously meant to be used on Joffrey, but I might not end up doing that. And the reason why is kind of weird. I did mention all the way back in Part 2 that the next time we had access to their party, we would be getting more money, and the majority of this money will be spent on something in the bargains that's going to be very helpful to have. And that's a very, very short conversation, but we get 10,000 gold out of it. So, before I go into the market to show the bargains, I just want to show something here. We can finally swap around skills of the Crimean Knights. So, with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and remove Paragon from Joffrey and Astrid. Of course, if you're training either one of them, you probably want to keep it. And I'm going to swap it over to Marsha and Kieran. Now, this chapter's going to be a little bit weird for me in this playthrough, because I'm not actively training anyone I have access to right now. So, this might be a little bit difficult. Marsha's probably the closest, but even her, she doesn't have transfer bonuses, and she's looking a little weak for this point in the game. So I may have to rely on Joffrey and Kieran a lot. Joffrey's still pretty strong at this point, but here's the reason why I don't want to third tier him. It's because I actually want Joffrey to be weak for Chapter 310, and I'll explain why once I get there, but I feel like there's actually a significant benefit in that chapter if Joffrey is weak and easily defeated. That makes no sense now, but it will make sense later. So, Astrid, unfortunately, can support Makalov, but, yeah. For some reason, I don't have any supports unlocked except for Astrid. I'm not really sure why. I guess she just supports people fast. I don't plan on deploying Astrid in this chapter anyway, so I feel like there's not really much of a point in setting up a support, unfortunately. Oh yeah, we still have a bonus experience from the end of Part 2, and I could third tier Joffrey with that, but like I said, I'm not going to. And as for everyone else, I kind of want to save some of this, but I might want to just level up Marsha once, because she's going to be really useful here, and level 6 is a little low for her at this point. +1 speed's not bad. I could go for another one, but that is 2,000 bonus experience. I guess I could level up Kieran. Paragon does not affect bonus experience, by the way. That's not the best, but it'll do. So now, what I wanted to do is in the shop here, I wanted to buy this, an Adept Scroll that's in bargains. It's going to cost me most of my gold, but I'm going to go for it anyway, because Adept is a really, really good skill. We also have access to an Arm Scroll, Reaper card, and Demon card, although they're, kind of weird, they have the same price, but I guess the Demon card has half the uses and only a little bit more mice. This is the most powerful magic card in the game, but I still don't find magic cards to be all that useful. We can also buy, actually the Shine Barrier is really cheap. Maybe I should get that. I forgot how cheap this was. So the Shine Barrier, let's see who I give it to. Maybe, actually it's probably better on someone with good movement. Maybe Nakalov? The Shine Barrier might be helpful in this chapter now I think about it. I explained this way, way earlier back in Part 1, but the Shine Barrier is effectively the light rune from the GBA games. You lay it down and no units can pass through that tile. So it can be good to create makeshift choke points and things like that. Now, we will be seeing Shine Barriers used quite a lot in 3.11, so just as a sneak preview, you'll need to be careful of that. So I wanted to explain what Shine Barriers do now. Okay, now the Wu Dao may as well... I don't think I've ever seen that. That's actually pretty funny. I've never seen that before. Okay, so let's give the Wu Dao to Makalov because he's the only one who can use it. And as for Joffrey's other items, there aren't a lot of cavalry in this map, so the Horse Slayer is not the most useful of things. And let me just see, what's Marsha's lance rank like? A. The Silver Great Lance is also an A, but it has 17. Marsha has just enough strength to not get weighed down by that. Which is good, because I kind of want a lot of attack power on Marsha. She needs to be flying around and killing some things. And on that note, do I have any extra javelins? I have a couple of steel lances, but nothing else. Okay, Kieran still has a few hand axes. Maybe I should buy some stuff. What do you got in the armory? Wow, they're actually selling some really good things in the armory. All the way up to silver weapons. You know, perhaps a regular silver lance is probably more effective for Marsha than the Great Lance, because she might still miss things with that. There are some relatively weak enemies that I want Marsha to be flying around and one-rounding. The silver weapons aren't really all that expensive, though. They aren't selling silver knives, though. Actually, let me think. I might want to get a couple of javelins. Wait, no. 2 javelins. One of them is for Joffrey and one of them is for Marsha. And I might as well... I still don't get why axes are not only better than lances, but also cheaper in this game. That's really, really stupid. But we won't actually need to be saving that much gold on the Crimean Knights because... Let's just say that, well, in fact I won't say anything, but yeah, we won't really be having money issues with them for that much longer. Now, Adepts, I kind of like it on Marsha, but she doesn't have the capacity. It is speed percents. I suppose Joffrey could use it here. However, if I give it to Joffrey, I might not have access to it for a while, because I'm pretty sure that he's not playable for the rest of Part 3, whereas Khalil definitely is. I want to give Adept to somebody who will be playable later on in Part 3. In that case, yeah, let's go ahead and give that to Khalil. We also can't forge, so no need to save money for that. And let's go ahead and trade one of those javelins over to Marsha. You only have 2 concoction uses left, but I think you should be alright. Might as well... I'm going to go ahead and conquer that coin. You're going to go ahead and trade your vulnerability over to Joffrey, because I don't think I'll be using you this chapter. And, actually, yeah, Danved's still going to be decently useful here. You're probably going to be seeing more use out of Danved here than, well, anywhere else in this playthrough. He's not terrible, I just find the other halberdiers better. It's funny how they needed 2 lines to display that. Crimea near the Benyon border. So we have our boss for this chapter, the first gym leader from Sinnoh. And I love that nice callback to Part 2. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. At first you think this guy is just another one of the random assholes in the Benyon army, and he still sort of is, but it's more because he's just intimidated of the same thing happening to him. Yeah, he's still a jerk. And well, it seems like they're going to be attacking first because we just go straight to battle preparations here. So there isn't a unique gimmick to this chapter, and you'll see it in the next part.